Hello and welcome to Travel Daily's Inspirational Women in Travel series. My name is Michaela Connor. I am the co-founder and committee member of IWTA. And today I'm very honored to be here with Anh-Thu, also known as Anh Lee, who is the general manager for Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Mekong region for the Lufthansa group. That is quite a mouthful, general manager for all those regions. So in what region are you based?
Well, I'm currently based in Bangkok, and I just moved here actually November last year. So I'm pretty new to town.
Oh, amazing. And where are you from?
I'm from originally Vietnam, so I am Vietnamese. I was born and raised in Saigon, or people also know as Ho Chi Minh City.
I'm so curious how you got into the aviation industry, because you've been with the Lufthansa group for quite a while.
Yeah, indeed. It was also an unexpected turn for me because I have a profile of a marketing student. So I chose marketing when I was in bachelor degree, but travel industry with me has been something kind of a long history from childhood. So I grew up in Saigon, and my dad was actually tour guide before. And he was specialized in European destination even. And at that time, he was doing a lot to Hungary, also to Russia and so on. And he has always spoken to me about Lufthansa. And then later on, after he was so done with traveling and, being tour leader, he actually had a travel agency in town. And therefore, I also even know Lufthansa even more because he was selling tickets for Lufthansa at that time, right? So that was how it all started. And then I picked up the major in marketing when I was in bachelor degree. I graduated and I was looking for a job, and the management trainee role of Lufthansa was open, and that's how I applied and got in. Yeah.
So you're basically born into the travel industry. You were just born to work in the
Sort
industry.
of, yeah, with story from my dad from his travel, from all the present he brought brought to me when I was little, and also from the colleagues. So I actually know sort of like many Lufthansa colleagues when I was little, because like they was also business partner of my dad. So I get to know the team somehow already when I was a kid. Yeah.
That's an amazing story. So what is it about the travel industry that excites you?
Well, I think it's always the fascinations of being at different places and being at places that you have never been to. So for me, that is the real fascination. And aviation, or being in airline business, we connect people and culture and places like that. So that's what I find that it is the biggest motivation for me to be in this industry. And the connection between places and human being is simply, I think, the thing that really inspires me a lot.
And it's very inspiring to look at your career progression. You started as an apprentice, and you're now a general manager for all these countries. What's that journey been like, and what's been your motivation behind? Because I can see you've had different roles as well within the Lufthansa group.
Yeah, I do have different roles in the company, and it didn't really happen overnight, right? So I am now at year number 15 with the company. I started as a management trainee, and I was based in Frankfurt for 2 years. So that was how I get into aviation and so on after my bachelor degree. Then when I graduated, I got posted for the first time to Bangkok. So for the regional marketing role. So I can also proudly say that I actually work on the subject that I was studying. So I was in marketing and PR for almost 5 years. Then I continue on to Singapore to go into a field that I also never expected myself to be in, which is to be an analyst. So to really go into numbers, to go into analysis and so on. And that was for the e-commerce team. And then after that, I jumped into a sales role for e-commerce sales of Lufthansa Group in APAC. And then I back at home just before the pandemic as a country manager. And now I am here again in Thailand.
What's been the most challenging? What's been some of the most challenging times in the last 15 years of your career?
I would say challenge, it would just depending on how you define challenge, right? And for me, the definition of challenge actually would be something that occurred and then it pushed me away from my normal routine. So that was, I would call a challenge, because you kind of have to reorganize your life again and then get over it and continue on your routine. So that's how I would define challenge. Or, you know, moving to a completely different job scope is actually the challenge that I normally face with. And it just really depending on, you know, how I will organize it. And then put it all together into the puzzle pieces, and then you know, the learning curve is there, and I just feel that okay, I have achieved something out of the challenge itself.
And what has been the inspiration to apply for these different promotions? What's the motivation behind you being successful in all these different roles that you've had with the group?
So not all the role was actually a promotion. So I also did swap like different kind of business scope and so on. So for me, it's like to move from one field to the next field. The reason I was doing that quite often is simply because I want my learning curve to keep on growing. Because also I am a very organized person, and I said about challenge that, you know, challenge is something that pushed me away from my normal routine. So I like changes because then, you know, it makes me really have to work out with that and put things into, you know, the correct shape and so on. And then after that, when things are really peaceful, then I just find that, okay, it's time to really move on and to really try something else. So that is normally how I function, I would say. So therefore, to one extent, when the learning curve is already kind of flat, then it's normally is my time to look for new places to go, new tasks to do, and, you know, and to just learn more. Yeah.
As soon as you see yourself back into the comfort zone, you're like, no, I have to find something that pushes me outside of it. That's great, because that's the growth zone, right? And when you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable, it's a bit scary, it's good for us. Because we have to push through and we learn something about ourselves. It's great takeaway. That what has been your biggest highlight in your career? What's been some of your proudest moments?
My proudest moment, I mean, being here in this company is actually, I think, about the friendship I have with everyone here. So I really have good friends coming from, you know, teams that I have worked with. I really have learned really great lessons from the bosses that, you know, I was working with as well. And last but not least, I think the highlight is also how I develop my leadership skill overall, because at all the steps I walk through, on the experience I have, I think I really gain a lot of empathy out of everything, because I also seeing things now in many different perspectives of everyone around, and I think that really helped me a lot also in terms of, you know, taking care of my team and managing people. Yeah.
If you could talk to yourself as an apprentice, you know, 15 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
What advice I would give myself when I just started the company, I would say take my time. That's what I did. So I think a lot of people actually are really in the rush of getting to somewhere in their career. I have never really thought of it that way. So I did take my time trying different things to in the end find out what I like the most, and then in the end going into that direction. So that would be, I mean, I did that. So if I meet myself 15 years ago, I would actually give the same advice that, you know, take the time, enjoy the ride, and then in the end, see what you really like to move on. Yeah.
Good advice. And I know you're very passionate about giving back and education. And I saw that you recently joined an alumni board to contribute. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
All right. So just a month ago, I got into the alumni advisory board of my university. So it's in Singapore. So it's Nanyang Technological University, and I really enjoy my time there, I have to say. I have great friends, still in touch until now, and Singapore is like forever my home. So therefore, being an international student, looking back, I want to really bring the diversity, also the experience, how I'm seeing also students from NTU, from Nanyang Business School, now abroad, and to connect people better. So that's the reason why I really want to be in to contribute my ideas, thoughts, and also point of view, so that in the end, it's not only just about the base in Singapore, but for us, being students from Nanyang before, we can always connect and to also exchange much better abroad.
Great inspiration for the students there to hear about your story. I think that's fantastic. Well done. Finally, what quote or maybe values or beliefs do you stay true to?
What I stay true to myself is that I always want to make a difference to people around me. So that is something that I always try to do, because in the end, each human being is very, very different. And I appreciate the difference. And I really want to bring something from my point of view to people's life, and also to see point of view of people in my life as well. So making a difference is really one of the values that I really stick with. And secondly, is really about persistence. For me, I don't give up that easily. So, and also, I think it's true with learning curve that you really have to be persistent to really learn something and master something. And so far, I do find that my learning curve is really stable. And the reason why it is like that is because I'm quite persistent when I really decided that I want to learn something well. So that is the two value that I really live upon. Beside that, just to keep a very positive mindset, because in the end, you could have a day that you're like, oh my God, it couldn't be worse, but actually the next day is also a new day. So those things really help me until today, I would say.
Great words. Well, thank you so much, Anli, for taking your time to talking to IWTA today. Really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to meet you somewhere on the island soon, I'm sure.
We'll meet in person, I'm very sure.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening too.
Bye.
Bye.